Imagine living in a world you don't even think you have an option to think another way. The thinking is free. The thinking, but you own it. Like, no, I can't even think about that. Why? Who's stopping you from thinking about that? I've had a personal interest and involvement in natural, holistic approaches to life and well-being. Words are energetic. No, or yes, I'd love to do that. Right? There's an energy behind that. I will say really nice, loving things to my body when I'm, in a mindset to remain healthy, remain vibrant and robust and function and perform optimally.
So welcome. Cam Mirisola-Bynum. You are a licensed trainer of NLP, but I know that you're also a Reiki master, an expert masseuse, and you are a content director of for a marketing agency, which actually means that you're a writer. And so you literally get paid to make words work, magic in all those areas. And so I know that you can treat the bodies with the energy, your hands, you re-educate minds with NLP, and you actually write words that, create this copy that attracts attention for your clients, right? And so here's my first question for you.
Okay.
So if someone came stuck in their life, physically exhausted, mentally spinning, and their message isn't landing, which do you fix first? The body, the mind, or the words?
So they're feeling stuck physically, right? They're spinning.
Physically exhausted, spinning mentally. Message isn't landing.
Yeah, the message isn't landing. I'm not sure which message you're talking about, but when I mean, really, it's all the programming up here that really controls the rest of what's going on. And that's as vital as it gets. Get in there, see what the programming is, turn that down. And then the idea is once we create programs, and the program might be belief structures that are in place, right? There could be physical things. There could be things environmentally that they've done all their lives and it's created habits. But that's what we suss out when we go in and we find out what's been going on and how they're making this happen, how they're perpetuating it for themselves.
And because you have this amazing perspective, energy and body work and the words, neuro-linguistic programming, right? Our middle name is linguistics. How do you see these strings, the body work, the mind work, even the word work, like the language patterns, like how do they actually connect in your work or the way you do it?
Right. So to me, words are energetic, right? Mm-hmm. And so there's an energy in how we say things. In NLP, we talk about congruency. So someone can say no, or yes, I'd love to do that, right? There's an energy behind that. And so even as goofy as it sounds, and we talk about the self-talk we do to ourselves, right? And so this is what we work on with clients as well. I mean, I will say really nice, loving things to my body when I'm, in a mindset to remain healthy, right? Remain vibrant and robust and function and perform optimally.
So, how much are you enjoying this episode? Imagine leveling up every week. Join Next Level Pro Institute, where our motto is practice, practice, practice. This is the place where you will gain real tools, deeper skills, and a community that will accelerate your growth. I will see you there. Click on the link and we'll see you soon.
Right? Keeping myself in a constant active state of the state I my desired state. Let's just say that. And there are days we don't always feel that, but I continue to remind my body, my mind, my energy, that I am as I want to be. I don't know who else to say that without sounding, really kind of goofy, but we've talked about this. It's not about toxic positivity. It's about an actual shift in how you see and feel, and then are capable of doing things, right? So how you think, how you feel, what you're capable of doing, it all works together.
Mm-hmm. I remember this past week, and I was having a conversation, and people were telling me, yeah, words do matter, and the way people say words, the intonation, but not only the intonation, like the way that they are saying things, or they're talking to themselves, that actually makes something, actual feelings, like you were saying, feelings that they create an action later on, right? So that's something that, like I've always admired about you, because you have this amazing perspective of being able to touch people, the energetic angle, but also this language angle. And I know that you've worked with Dr. Bandler, editing, one of his books, one of his latest books, The Legacy of the Master. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to ask you, because being an editor of that, like looking at those words by words with your perspective, is there something that you think you learned that's different from someone that's just reading it, from the perspective of an editor? Was there some lesson that maybe we just as readers might have missed, and that you would like to point out, or that caught your attention?
Boy, that's an interesting question. When I'm in edit mode, I'm in a whole other zone. So I'm not necessarily in learning zone per se. I don't know who else to say that. I remember hearing this from someone who was a writer many years ago, and he would write books. He would ghostwrite books for people and just take on a new topic each time. And I asked him what it was like to know so much about so many different things. He said, I don't remember it. When I finish it, it's gone. It's like, so all the work I did and that I continued to do with the books for, Dr. Bandler was the one book, and then helping people with some of the translation stuff and whatnot. I don't necessarily, it doesn't go into that place in my brain like I'm an active learning. I'm actually an active doing phase. I don't know how to explain that.
A trance.
What's that? It is a type of trance. It is a type of trance, but it's not the kind of trance that has me saying, I'm going to, because if I get, it's like we tell our students, Pollyanna, if you get lost in the story, you're not able to do your job. You're not maintaining the state you need to be in to do your work. And I can't be in that state, or I'd be like lost in every story. I can tell you that as I'm doing it, I'm like, oh, that's what he meant when he said that in the seminar. So things like that happened as I went. But to say there were all the, a takeaway or two that struck me. I'm in a different mode. I'm in a different mode when I'm editing work.
But you just said something amazing, right, Cam? You just said something that we always tell to our students: do not get caught in the story. Maybe can you explain that more for our audiences that maybe have never heard about that?
Yeah. So one of the differentiators between NLP work and traditional therapy is that we're not that we're not interested, because we do need pieces of the story. Otherwise, we wouldn't know what they're doing with us. But we don't want the story, because I say this all the time. You can know your why, but you're still sitting in my chair, right? Mm-hmm. Knowing the why doesn't necessarily help you, which is the traditional model for therapy is sit down in my chair and let's talk about it, this hour this week, and then come back in another week and let's talk about it again, and let's talk about it again. And I know people firsthand who've had therapy, and I've said, oh, so are you learning coping strategies? And you're learning? No, we just talk. And so what happens is when people come sit in our chairs, a lot of times they want to tell us the story again. Well, the expression that is linked to NLP and neuroplasticity is you fire it, you wire it. And so the constant refiring just, digs deeper grooves in the neurocortical pathways, and that's how we create patterns and habits. And programming, which is our last name, right, in NLP. So we don't want to get lost in the story. What's interesting is when I've had clients who want to try to tell the story, I kind of have to shift a little bit. There are times I have to say, I've had a client say, well, what am I supposed to do? Just listen to what I'm telling you to do. Just do what I tell you to do. And okay. And sometimes that's an opportunity for us as practitioners to use conversational NLP, right? And so I've found that I do sort of a mixture of conversational and some light trance and whatnot. So we don't want to get caught in the story ourselves, because then we become empathetic. Now, empathy, everyone sees as a really lovely thing out there in the world. Well, I will say, with the world in the shape that it's in, if you're empathetic, you're taking on a lot of crap. And when you're doing that with your client, you're not maintaining your state. We also talk about you need to be in the state first. So if you want your client to be relaxed, you relax, right? If you want them to get excited, you get a little excited. It's all part of pacing, leading, and establishing rapport and whatnot. So we're not going to help them very much if we get sucked into the story and all of a sudden we're feeling depressed, or we're feeling anxious, or we're in that state that we're trying to get them out of, right? Then we're digging 2 holes and we have to climb out of 2 holes. So I hope that answers what you were asking, Pollyanna.
Yeah. And so when in NLP, when we don't focus on the story itself and the content, then we need to focus on something else, which is the structure.
Absolutely.
Of the story. And that's why we're always and I always tell my clients, I'm going to be asking you some weird questions, like things that probably, you probably have never heard someone asking you. So that image that you see, is it color or black and
white?
Right,
exactly. I do find people very, it's rare that they can. So we're so used to working with each other and doing exercises and whatnot. Someone says, what do you see? What's the color? How's the energy move? It's second nature to us now. But when you get someone who has no experience with this whatsoever, they're like, what do you mean? I don't see anything. Close your eyes. What is it? Oh, because they're giving you cues, right? They're giving you eye accessing cues. And oh wow, I never knew that was there. Yeah. You carry it with you everywhere you go. Or they start giving you these kind of things about this, or they're overwhelmed, or whatever their words are. So it is interesting. And what's really cool about that is there's just this unconscious learning that they take on, that's a tool for them moving forward, right? They get to say, oh, I do hear that voice. I do hear my mother saying X, Y, Z, right? I do hear my kids, blah, 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 blah. Or it does feel a little foggy, right? Or whatever it might be. So it gives them some tools to work with as they go back and live their life, and hopefully with really nicely seated generative change that you've done for them, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's what the legacy of the master, Dr. Bandler's book, every chapter is re-education of the mind, re-education of this condition, re-education of that,
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So you've trained, and maybe you can tell us a little bit of your journey into coming from whatever you were doing into coming to NLP and suddenly becoming a licensed trainer of NLP.
Yeah.
A little of your journey.
Yeah, a little bit of my journey. So really, since I was in my 20s, I'm a little bit older than that now. I've had a personal interest and involvement in natural holistic approaches to life and well-being. And so if you were to look at my resume, you'd be like, I'm not really connecting the dots, but to me, they connect perfectly through my journeys that I've had. So more recently, of course, COVID hit, right? So that was a crazy time. And we spent a lot of time sort of isolated, all of us collectively as the world. And I got to spend some time that was just quiet. And I started to look at some new ways. I've meditated for decades upon decades. And I thought I wanted to find maybe a new way to do that. And it sort of led me down this path for new learnings. And then my dad got sick. And boy, oh boy, I wouldn't change a thing for caring for my parents. It can be a lot of work. It can be very demanding. And so I needed to find ways to preserve my well-being, because I wasn't going to do them any good. We talk all the time in NLP about taking the oxygen first. And I had a client in here just this week, a mom with 2 kids that she just does tons and tons for. And she knows she does too much for them, right? And she really related to the oxygen metaphor, and she was using it herself, right? So I knew I had to do that for myself. And that sort of brought me into the hypnotherapy world. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I love my content director job. I think about what I want to do as I ramp up to another phase in my life. And this just fit with my massage background and Reiki background and just my holistic approach to life. I studied homeopathy with a master homeopath on Maui. So this just fit. And it just, all I can say is it sort of just took me with it. It was, it was like a tidal wave of wow. And it just took me with it. And it's been fabulous. It's been personally satisfying for my own development. It's also been satisfying to know that I can help people. Super satisfying to know that we've created this community of students, Pollyanna. Yeah. You started back in the day, and I've been with you almost from the very beginning when you arranged the first Zoom calls. And that feels amazing, especially since it's weird. We're segmented and isolated in so many ways in this world, just the way, technology has taken us. And yet I feel like we've got family and friends and colleagues we can count on in a heartbeat if we need to. And that's unique. That's really unique.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I remember COVID, that's when we both took that hypnotherapy course where we met. And then, we did the course, everything in Zoom. We had been practicing with each other in Zoom, all online. Yeah. And then we had this opportunity to come to Orlando to do this one day, the beginning, the first time that we were doing some masterclass with Juan Antonio Perez, who, he was been in the podcast also. And I remember thinking, how crazy are we? Like we rented this Airbnb. We were like 12, 14 strangers. Like really? We didn't know anything about we are. And the moment we saw each other, we just had to hug each other because we had created this relationship over Zoom. So technology has helped us connect and create this community, but nothing compared to the fact that we would, get together and hug, finally I can hug you. And oh my gosh, you're taller than I thought, or you're shorter than I thought, because we're all the same size.
Yeah, I know. I got that a lot. You're a lot shorter than I thought. Yeah, it's such a cool, I mean, it's become such a, I've said this often, I see my friends and colleagues in the NLP world sometimes more than I see my old hometown friends.
Yeah.
More often, certainly in the last, 3 years or so, than I've seen some of my old hometown friends, which is funny because I don't live in my old hometown, but I'm close enough. I'm within an hour or so. So it is, the good news is, and this is one of the other sort of tenets we direct people towards, choice. We choose to be in each other's lives because there's meaning and there's growth. And, I vowed to learn something new every day till the last day I take, my last breath on this earth, because that's so important for the brain. Mm-hmm. It's so important for your own well-being. And it's a driver for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yes. And we get to see each other nearly every week in the Next Level Pro Institute,
At least in these little screens.
yeah, yeah. And so maybe you can share with our listeners, what actually happens on Saturday mornings at the NLPI training calls.
Yeah, a lot of fun, a lot of laughter. Um, there's there's always a lesson that we have in mind for everybody, and we base everything on, well, certainly what we see and do, real life stuff, and we don't necessarily tell you what's going to happen, because we want your brains to be fresh and active, and we want the dopamine spike for you. You're welcome. I tell students all the time, you're welcome for that dopamine spike. And to keep people engaged. And so there are times we'll go pretty myopic on things. Like we've been doing a lot of timeline stuff lately, just to sort of, we decided let's take a sort of a technique, if you not, I mean, I don't want to say it that way. Take like an area, right, of how we can see the world and whatnot, and talk about different ways to approach it from there. Maybe different techniques you can use while doing what we would call timeline work, and really drill down on that stuff. And what's really cool is people are doing exercises with other people. And we have a unique perspective and are able to sometimes match people. So if someone has a greater skill set than someone else, we could pair them so that someone can continue to learn on a one-to-one in an exercise room. And it's worked out, really nicely. And we've got a real dedicated core of people who we love to see every Saturday,
Yeah, I mean, it is a true community, like we come here, we practice, breakout rooms, and having practitioners, master practitioners in the same group, like that helps a lot. And have you noticed how the students, I mean, we've been doing this at least officially for a year, and as trainers for a year, have you noticed the growth of some of the students?
Yeah,
No.
Yeah, no, I have. And I'm just going to take that back a beat to say that when we showed up in Florida, I'm going to pat ourselves on the back a little bit and pat our mentor, Juan Antonio, on the back, that when we showed up, because you and I did multiple weekends and master classes with Juan Antonio in person. When we showed up, and then our group showed up en masse, how many people? 30 something people sort of came through our kind of the collective Zoom and stuff that you had originally organized. We stood out. We stood out. And we were told that by people we didn't even know. We had people join us. I want to be your friends, that kind of thing.
We went in July to Dr. Bandler's training for the master practitioner. Yes, we were 26 from our group. Yeah.
And I'll say this. I remember some of the people who were fairly new with the practitioner, and they were so nervous about taking the master prac. And Kathleen and John were very generous in saying, it was really testament to trusting the training they had gotten, right, with Juan Antonio and the practitioner. And some of them were really nervous about it. And I remember saying to a few of them, everyone here in Orlando wants you to succeed. And trust me when I say you are ahead of what's going on right now. You're going to find that out as soon as we sit down, and as soon as you do the first exercise with someone, you're going to find out just how prepared you are and just how advanced you are already. So to that, I carry that to the students that we have now. And I would bet my bike on it that and that's a stiff wager that if we were to put them toe to toe with anyone else on a similar journey, they would blow them away.
Yeah, no, I've been very impressed with the dedication. I feel that talks also about the NLP spirit, which is because we always talk about how NLP is a technology, but it's also an attitude,
Yeah.
right? You know, this being relentless. And the way we've been trained with Juan is to be Olympic athletes, even in
Yes.
this area, right? And so you're very proud about being, you know, very obsessed with but you know, because we see the changes, right? You see the effect that you can have on people, you know. You're saying, you said it yourself, right? Like how you're working with your clients. And I remember when you told me, remember once one of your first clients, and I don't know if that's the one that you, because my question to you basically is like, do you remember a client, an amazing transformation story that you guided, that you were like blown away, like, wow, I was able to do this, or this person, wow, their mind, you know, was re-educated this way?
Yeah, I do. I'm curious which one you have in mind, though.
Well, I always remember that the one when you were talking about the trifecta, the lady that came with three things. I don't remember what they were. Depression, and I mean, like big.
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
Like really early on your career, and I was like, damn, Cam just like killed that one so good.
Yeah,
you know?
that was pretty cool. I'm gonna have to remember that one. I do know that I've helped. What's really cool is I've helped someone who had decades of hypochondria, and in about 20 minutes, it's gone.
Nice.
Pretty cool. I remember, you know, some of the things that stick out to me is this, I want to say the simplicity without, that's not, it's the elegance that they talk about, right? So this work can be very efficient. And whether you're doing, I remember Kathleen saying, if you do a proper desired state, sometimes your work is done, right? And that's typically what we might think of as, you know, conversational NLP. And I've had a couple of really dramatic changes in people, really with doing just conversational NLP. I know that you've mentioned that to me, that you've had some experiences with that. That to me, it speaks to the power of this work and the power of our abilities. And some of the things, you know, I was thinking about this. I'm like, gosh, sometimes I'm really conscious about the language patterns I'm using, and sometimes I'm not. But whether I've used specific Milton-esque ones or not, the work is working. So something in there is a part of my machine for it now. You know what I'm saying? So it's really interesting to see that happen.
You're unconscious competent in those things.
Yeah. So that's really cool. It's always humbling to know that you've helped someone to move forward, to create a new trajectory, to create, you know, generative change in their life, especially when they come to you feeling like, I don't even know how to think about this anymore. I just can't. This is just how life is. It's just how it is now. It's just how you're making it now.
And when you see clients now, I'm curious, like, do you use your all your other expertises like Reiki or the massage? Well, of course, you know that that would imply, I don't know if you still, you know, you do have that license, but or not. I just realized that, you know, one needs a touch license for.
You do, yeah. So I don't have that.
But do you use the other modalities that you excel at in your work?
You know, it's funny. I haven't had, I mean, on my website, I have that, you know, I can do Reiki work and whatnot. And I haven't had any Reiki specific clients, which is totally fine. I had a person who I worked with for years. She was an amazing energy worker. She was so powerful. And I asked her one time about the symbols, and she said, Cam, I live Reiki. The symbols are always with me. Reiki is running almost all the time. And so, you know, I think I've almost installed for me a mechanism where the Reiki energy will just amp up when I'm doing it, you know? So, and I get in a state, and I think that's just what happens. My sensibilities about all those things, about how homeopathy works, how the body works with massage therapy, how energy works, and how words are part of that potion, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
is always active when I'm working with someone. So, so yeah, I mean, if there's something I can offer to them, sort of back to what you said at the beginning, do you go for their mind or their body or this? It's so combined. You know, part of the problem we have with traditional medical, and you're a scientist, Pollyanna, is that we isolate too much. We're not built like that. We're just, the entire nervous system is as much a part. There are many people who think that in your fascial highways are the super conscious of your body. And that I was just, you know, that I've been doing a deep dive on microbiome lately. And I was just, you know, listening to a seminar yesterday evening that it's a bilateral highway, the enteric nervous system, which we work with a lot. Like when someone's having emotions and energy, and, you know, we elicit that from them. 80% of it is the gut going to the brain, not the other way around. 80% of that communication is the gut going to, I was like, whoa, that's huge, right? When people say, trust your gut, you know,
it's in the language.
in the language. So it's all so fascinating. So I keep myself, I'm going to say educated, but aware of what's going on sort of all those spheres. And you and I both know there are people in the NLP world who are, you know, really plugged into a lot of this stuff. And it's just cool because it's all a part of what makes us tick, you know?
Yes. Yeah, that's true. And, you know, it is so, you know, I love it because it's this thing, you know, this confluence of things, and we all are unique. You know, we all have our different styles of how to implement NLP and hypnosis. And I always admire the fact that you always bring that, and you didn't even think about it. You're like just doing energy. I know that, you know, so that's very cool. And, you know, when we also think about Dr. Bandler or Juan Antonio, who has been working more with us, and especially with Dr. Bandler, you know, like this is something that, like, it is very important for us to learn directly from the co-creator of NLP, right? And so, in your opinion, or how does learning directly from the source, the one who co-created neurolinguistic programming, how or why would that matter, you know, when people, our students, want to choose who to learn NLP with?
Yeah, it's like just being in the presence of a master. You know, I know that, and I can't remember specifically what he was working on with someone up on stage, but I remember I was sitting, you know, we all sort of like sit on the edge of our chair when something's going on, and he said something to this person, and I was like, oh, that was genius. How did he know to go there? Now, I've learned since then, he's probably, you know, he's plugged in energetically, blah, 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 blah. But he's also had decades upon decades of experience with this, and knowing that there's another road in, you know, and Lean and the other people who've been doing it for a long time, it becomes like anything. And we talk about this, a habit and exercise creates unconscious competence, right? And the more you do this work, the more you have a toolbox that's just endless. And so so to learn in the presence of people who know what they're doing, second nature, it's second nature what they're doing. There's no comparison. You don't always know what you're watching, quite frankly. The more you learn, though, the beauty of it is, if I were to sit in that room today and I saw him, Dr. Bandler, do the same thing, I'd probably go, oh, okay, I see how he connected that dot to that dot. I might not. But you and I both know, we hear John Lavelle stories and we're like, what is he talking about? And then now we can go, oh, yeah, I see what he did there. That was really cool, right? So when you're able to learn from people experientially is the best way to learn. Juan talks about it like you're going to learn how to swim by watching a video on your couch, or you're going to jump in the dang pool, right?
Exactly.
And that to me is the big difference between both, watching a master at work and, we work with Zoom, we work online because that's the way of the world. When you get to work in person, it just cements everything in a whole new way, because you're experiencing it. The same way we'll have someone visualize, right? We always say the limbic system doesn't know the difference between you imagining it and you doing it. So more, when we talk about the representational system, so when you're actually there experiencing it tactily, emotionally, physically, you have more representational systems engaged and the learning goes deeper. That's the difference. So I think we're so blessed to have Dr. Bandler still teaching, still enthused about it, still happy to help. He's so generous, with his knowledge, as are the other people who we've had the really good pleasure, to be blessed to learn from, Pollyanna. We've really been very, very blessed. So yeah, I think there's nothing comparable.
Yeah, and I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, you get to know the stories behind the stories too, which I love.
Yeah.
Right. I love hearing the stories behind the stories. So yeah.
Yeah, no. And I mean, and that's why we always, always recommend our students to just go and train with Dr. Bandler if they're here, or if they're in Europe, and when he goes there, just have that chance to meet him in person, because, it is, 1953 is when he, as a young person with John Grinder, created this framework, this NLP, this technology, and he keeps refining it. Yeah. Right. And so what is now is not what it was before, and it's been even more refined. And that's why that's why I like about it, to being in the cusp there with, seeing, getting all these new things that we're receiving, and that's wow. You're at the edge of the technology, because I don't think I could come up with all those things just yet, but it's cool to see him doing that. And so, yeah. And the one thing that I'm also curious about, Cam, you mentioned it before, and I know I'm bouncing a little bit here about meditation, because I know that you are amazing at meditation. This is a practice you've been doing for many, many years, right? And so is there something about meditation or what you've learned about NLP that you incorporate in your meditation now that is different from before?
It's interesting. The meditation I did for probably over 2 decades was one that's called the microcosmic orbit, and it has to do with pocking breaths. You do breaths in your energy centers in your body and whatnot. And the man who I learned homeopathy from, David Little, was a quirky, wonderful, lovely, lovely human being. And he said, you'll be your own alchemist if you're doing this thing, this meditation. And it worked for me wonderfully for, like I said, decades. And part of my old origin story was there was a time in my life where I had mold toxicity. And so I've dealt with a lot of physical stuff from that, probably, even have had some residual stuff to, more recently, right? That's neither here nor there. But that helped, that got me through what I think other people would have been leveled with. Absolutely leveled. So that was cool. Then I realized I needed more mindset stuff, because I didn't really take the time when I was doing that all the time. It got sort of like robotic, like habit, right? I could do it, And so I said, I need to go deeper with something. So I got into a meditation where I do say a mantra, which a lot of people is like transcendental meditation. That's not the person I learned from it. That's not the term she uses, but I've watched Dr. Bandler on stage make fun of that. I'm not going to just say a word over and over and over again. I will tell you this though, Pollyanna, it's much like you're just putting yourself into a trance. And for me, I liken the saying the mantra to really fractionating yourself. because in this meditation, this isn't about forcing you to not have thoughts. It's not what this meditation is. You can sort of let the thoughts come and flitter in, and you go back to your mantra, right? And they might flitter, and you go back to your mantra. And each time you do, it's like a fractionation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go deeper and deeper. You come up, you come down.
Yes. And there have been days in the sort of typical time that this teacher that I learned from has you do it is like 19, 20 minutes. And sometimes I'll go a little bit over that and whatnot. And I usually do it twice a day. And there are times that I'll come out of it and I'll think, oh, that was 3 minutes. I'm like, what? 26 minutes? What? Time distortion. Crazy. So, and the type of rest you can get for your body, for your nervous system, in even just that 20 minutes a day is better than any nap you could ever take. So it has been really wonderful. And I remember hearing someone do an interview recently. I don't know who it was. It wasn't anyone in the NLP world. I don't think it was. But he said, oh, for all that time you're meditating, you could be going out, helping the world. I'm like, no, because the oxygen, if you don't take your oxygen first, and that's what feeds me. Now, I've been through some physical stuff recently, right, with my back and my knees, been able to get out on a bike. Man, oh man, that has been so good for me in so many ways. I still do my meditation, but that's another piece of the puzzle for me to keep my brain. You have to be in uptime, times 10 when you're out on a bike on a street with no shoulders, right? So, shoulders on the road is what I mean. Yeah. I got shoulders. I'm good. But it's been amazing for just everything about my brain activity and the proprioception and the balance and using your entire system. We talked about holistic. We're a holistic organism. It's amazing to do that, and so to me, meditation and these things are all, and I know that, we have a bunch of people that we're involved with, that are very active physically, which is awesome. People prioritize that. And it's all a part of feeding this organism. So that when I link meditation to this, it's sort of, and I've been able to do some pretty cool things with NLP and meditation. So sort of at the end of my meditation, when I know that I'm in like a really, deep state, I will consciously, because I'm consciously aware, instruct my unconscious mind to make a change for something that I'll be very specific. So after my mom passed, which was earlier this year, there were, it was probably 2 weeks after that or so, I still couldn't get my head to put two thoughts together. It was like the electrical circuits just were not connecting. And I needed to get back to work. I had, a lot of work to get back to. I just needed to do this. And so I gave my unconscious mind the instruction to, how to do this. You know how to think, how to reconnect these neural pathways. I need you to be functioning again. When I need to grieve, I will grieve. When I need to be working, I need to function. The next day, it was like lights on, baby. It was remarkable. So that was a combination of my meditation work and using what I've learned in NLP to drive very significant change, which was remarkable.
Yeah, and that's what we do, right? With NLP, where we're giving direction, we're giving something to aim to. That's one of the most important things when we work with our clients, when we work with ourselves. This is, make sure that there's a place to aim to go this way. This is what I want, right? And many times I feel that that's a hard question to ask for people, clients that come and you ask them, what do you want? And it's so hard because they want to tell you what they don't want. Right?
So acclimated towards the negative. And there's zero judgment with that. That's kind of how unfortunately, we've sort of evolved, which is a devolvation, if you ask me, if that's even a word. I'm making up words now. Devolution. But it takes a little bit of squeezing, doesn't it, to get it out of them?
Because it's not what they've practiced, right? But you having practiced being moving towards something, towards a goal, towards giving a direction, you've been able to use that for your own practice and give yourself a clear instruction. And then your neurology took over, like, okay, I know what you want, Cam, let's do it. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's so remarkable that
Yeah.
that you can do that. I mean, and it's incredible the amount of control that we can get, on controlling our minds, controlling our state. And and that's and passing, your family, because you had a lot of grief in your life. Your dad passed away, your mom passed away, recently, and I always see you, like such a supportive person, very cheerful, always, you're always like helping everybody, and despite all that, and you always so authentic and honest, with your feelings, how you're feeling at the same time. But you bring us together in that sense, because it's okay, right? And that's something that I like. But I love that you can give yourself that direction and just go for it, right? And that's something that is in the middle of dark times, which bad things are going to happen to all. We cannot control what happens out here, right? But what we can do using NLP is control how we react to any external situation. And you are a good expression of that, an example.
Well, thank you. It's the nature of generative change, right? So I could show my unconscious mind to do that and move forward. That's also teaching my unconscious mind, this is a good way. This is a productive way. It's a productive thing to perpetuate. So let's move forward now with like the physical therapy I need for my knees and my back. Let's move forward with this. And it's been really powerful. I did not know the low-level stress, how it has been impacting my life, had been impacting my life. That's very important to say it that way. For the last 3-4 years with the care of my parents. Now I'm from a big Italian family, so I have other siblings who are involved, but it was a lot for all of us, really. And I was very active in being there with my parents and stuff too. So, and like I said, I wouldn't change a thing. Retraining my mind to not go back to the stress, where's my phone in case it rings, in case there's an emergency, like just being on alert, high alert for all that time. I've had to retrain myself and to be different. I feel the change in myself, just knowing that, I'm not on high alert anymore for that. I can be on high alert for good things. When's a good time to ride my bike? When's a good time to do this? When's a good time to do that? It's shifted. And this is the kind of change we want to see for our clients. This is what we want to teach our students to look for in their clients. We were talking about people don't even know what they want. I love what our colleague and friend Jimmy does with people, and I do it too now. When they say, oh, well, I don't want to be depressed anymore. Okay, what do you want? Well, I mean, I don't want to eat chips while watching TV, and I don't want to do that. Okay, wait, stop for a minute. Ask me what I'm going to do tomorrow. And they say, okay, what do you do tomorrow? Well, I don't want to go to the laundromat, and oh my God, I don't want to eat pizza again. And I don't want to have to take a walk. And then they get it. Oh, okay. Experiential, right? So it's about, I didn't have time. I guess I'll say this. When I was in that, because your prefrontal cortex, your critical thinking, sort of center shuts down when you're in extended stress or even short-term set. So I was living like that for years, Pollyanna. And it was, I've been able to just sort of get, it was just like a cloud and be clearer now. And I can now direct myself. Oh, let's make good choices. Let's make choices that aren't based on just how to get through another day. Right. And that's been really important. And then you do that one day and it perpetuates another day, and that perpetuates 4 more days, and that perpetuates a week and a month and a year. The same kind of thing we do when we future pace people.
Yeah, that's a lot of wisdom that you've accumulated inside of you, and you've developed your own strategy. And I know that you're gonna be, these experiences, you can always use them to help your clients, because you connect with them on a different level because you understand, you've been there through there, and you know that there's a path. Many people, they feel overwhelmed, caught in this, stuck in this situation. They cannot see, where else they can go, because they don't have that option. And when you work with your clients, you give them options. You give them, and then they can choose freely what they want to do. And usually they choose good things. You give them good options. But before meeting you, they didn't have that option. So,
or they didn't even think they had an option.
Exactly. And
and imagine living in a world you don't even think you have an option to think another way. And the thinking is free. The thinking, but you own it. Like, no, I can't even think about that. Why? Who's stopping you from thinking about that? One of my favorite lines to use is something I think I heard Dr. Bandler. I know I've heard Juan Antonio say to people when they, have this realization, and you get to say, how does it feel to know you've been wrong about that for 30 years? What else might you have been wrong about? And they go, oh. And you can almost see all these like belief structures just collapsing. It's so powerful. Oh my gosh. I had one client be, this is the person. I had one client that you were referring to before. She found that she was wrong about her role in her parents' divorce when she was 13. 13. And she was able to see it differently and for what it was. And it just relieved her of this burden that she had. It had nothing to do with her. And there's no blame in that. Like kids, that's typically what kids do, right? They take it on. It must be me because they're in, especially a teenager is in a very like singular focus me world, right? And it was just so liberating to watch her be free of it. You could just see it.
How old was she when she came to see you?
Oh, yeah, grown-ass adult. Late 50s, 60s,
So all those years since she was 13, she was carrying that. And you help her in one session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With something she hadn't even realized she was going to come in to try to fix. Yeah. And this is the gem, right? We listen to what they say and we say, well, how about if we look into that? Let's look into that because that sounds like that might have more of an impact than you realize it does.
Yeah.
You watch, you calibrate. Oh, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. It happened so long ago. Your unconscious mind is telling me it matters.
Well, calibration skills, that's the homework. That's the one thing that we always are working on, we always say calibration is the mother of all skills. You have to calibrate the person you have in front. You work with the person you have in front of you, which is not the same person that you had 5 minutes ago.
Absolutely. That time continuum, right? We can change. What I love about that whole time continuum thing is that the trajectory. I love when we have people back in a past thing, give them resources, and then you let them look at how different their life is up to the present and how much has changed since they made that change, and the trajectory. The impact of what we're doing right now, how that's having on your present life and what it's having on your future. That's powerful to people. I've watched people shift just hearing that language. Like when we're talking about giving them options. Oh, I hadn't even thought that way, right? It's just so powerful. It's so cool. It's just such cool work. I just feel so honored to be able to do it and to participate and to work with clients and help myself and to help students help other people.
Yeah.
Help to perpetuate it. It's the world. We all need each other.
Creating community. Cool. So I think we're close to the end, but I have rapid fire questions for you. I know you know what rapid fire means. So first answer that comes to mind. So what is your favorite NLP technique or skill that you use daily?
That I use daily with myself or clients? I have to say, I really love, I remember you saying to me, you said, don't be a one horse pony or one trick pony. And it's not my one trick. I do plenty of other stuff, but I find that doing the timeline and resource building is very powerful for people. And it doesn't have to be some big crazy trauma. Sorry, my nose has got air conditioning here. It doesn't have to be some big crazy trauma. It can be just a simple, just a simple something that they just want to resolve and have a different perspective on.
Good. And if you had to recommend a book to someone who is new to NLP, which would be the number one book that you would recommend? Only one. You get only one. I know there's so many.
Well, and I may be biased about this, but I think Legacy is great in that it takes a lot of the conditions, the nominalized conditions that we have in the world today, and it sort of breaks them down and breaks them apart. I think that's important for people to know that, like, you don't have something, you're doing it. And it's not about blame, but it's about recognizing that there's a pattern here that you're doing it really well. It's just an unproductive pattern, right? You're doing your anxiety really, really well. It's just unproductive for you. So I love that for people, because I think it brings it in. It's deals with the everyday vernacular of the conditions, right? And it gives them another way to see it, gives them a new perspective. And I think to me, that's what our work is: give them a new perspective and a new program to work from.
Yeah. Good. Okay. So what is your pre-session ritual? Do you have a pre-session ritual?
A what?
A pre-session ritual.
Oh,
like
pre-session ritual. This is my office. I've got sometimes I'll sit in one of these chairs, and if I'm here early enough, I might do a little meditation before I start. And I put on my essential oils. There's an essential oil mix called Balance, which is just such a lovely mix. And I just quiet myself. I really quiet myself, and turn on the listening. When I need to speak and say something, it needs to be meaningful. It needs to be, what's going to help guide someone. Because my tagline is, personal growth guidance, you only better. So I want to just help them be themselves, only better. So you got to listen to what they want in order to make that happen.
Yeah. Okay. Very hard question. Coffee or tea, Cam?
I don't drink coffee, and it's not caffeine. So if I do have anything, it's a non-caffeine tea. It's an herbal tea.
So what is your favorite thing to bake besides bread? Because that's something we haven't touched in this conversation.
Oh, it's funny. I fed my sourdough starter before I came here, because we're going to be seeing each other in just another week. And so I like to show up with some fresh baked sourdough goodies. But my favorite thing to bake, I love to bake all of it. My most common thing to bake are biscotti, the sea salt chocolate caramel biscotti. And those are, people, I don't like biscotti. And then they have these are great. So they seem to make people pretty universally happy. And that's the joy I get out of baking. So, yeah.
Well, I have to say that is one of the perks of coming in person to the Next Level Pro Institute bootcamps, because Cam brings a suitcase full of her pastries, because something that we haven't mentioned, Cam, that you used to own a bakery.
An Italian cookie company, yeah. It's funny, Paulina, I have a really big piece of luggage for like the month-long Orlando things, and then I have a carry-on. I literally today was just looking at luggage. I need a medium-sized one because my medium-sized one broke. That's the one that I tore my shoulder on too, by the way. But so that I can bake more things. I don't need to bring that many clothes, but I need to stuff the baked goods in the bag. So I was just looking for a new piece of luggage today. So that's going to happen before I come to Orlando in another week. I hope the air traffic control situation is under control by then.
That's true. That was an interesting one. Yeah. So, and so, for example, if someone was interested in joining one of our Next Level Pro Institute bootcamps to do the licensed practitioner or even the master practitioner we're going to have in January, when you are going to be a co-trainer, So what would you say to them? What would you tell them? This is what you're going to expect. This is a reason for you to come. Tell us a little bit beyond your words about the bootcamp, style.
Oh, it's such an amazing.
Other than the bread.
Other than the bread, it'll probably be English muffins and some sourdough sandwich bread. Those are easy enough to travel with. The bagels just don't, while they're sturdy, they don't stay as fresh in the same way that the other ones do. Anyway, the boot camp is such a, really, it sounds so cliche, fun, immersive, intensive experience. Both our husbands came and did these experiences, and part of, and I think I'm speaking for you, but you can tell me otherwise. I wanted my husband to experience what I experience and why I keep going back for more. Like, how many practitioners do you need to do, Cam? He never said that to me that way. It wasn't that kind of thing, but we've collectively been to a number of practitioners, Pollyanna, right?
Yeah.
And I used to think that was weird when I first started, like, oh, why do people keep going? Oh my gosh, you keep learning and you keep growing and you keep using new skills and finding out that you have new skills that you didn't realize you'd really created a competence for. And, but it is practice, 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 because this work doesn't work if you're just on your couch reading a book. Books are great. That's all supplemental. But it is so immersive. There's just not a better way. And the energy, there's a kismet in the room. There's a gestalt in the room when everybody, or in the house, when everybody's doing the same thing and they're focused. There's a single track. And the community and the fellowship. I mean, we're talking people from in their 20s to their 70s have been together in this house. We pretty much get the same house. There's very similar properties. And it's like the best college dorm time, only you're grown-ups and you know better and you are courteous to each other and at the same time goofy and stupid and fun. It is the best learning environment. We talk all the time about, John Lavelle says good brain juice. I mean, if we could bottle this stuff, it's amazing. And you're on such a high. You're tired. There are some nights we're working till late at night and you're tired, but guess what? That breaks down all the conscious jibber jabber that you have going on, and it helps the stuff get right on through. So it's intensive, and there's so much information you take in, and you're going to feel dang good because you're constantly sort of getting worked on, for lack of a better way to say it. I keep doing the quotes, but we're all getting sort of like session work as we're there, as well as giving, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, we're getting optimized. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, we're getting. Thank you. That's a better way to say it. We're getting optimized. That was a good edit.
I learned from the best. So how can people, if someone wants to get in touch with you, follow your work or learn from you, have a session with you, and we will put any links also in the description of the YouTube, how can people get in touch with you?
So my website is NLP and Hypnosis, and I work out of Dover, New Hampshire. And so all the other information that they need is there on my website. And that's an easy way to get in touch with me.
Very good. Thank you so much, Cam.
Thank you, Pollyanna.
This is so great. We had a nice conversation, and thank you for having us coming here to the podcast, to the
thank you for having
NLP show.
This is a short one. We've been known to have 3-hour conversations before, but but it's great. It's fantastic. And it's, we've got a good group of people and colleagues that we work with, Pollyanna. And I know you're going to be talking to Jimmy if you haven't already. And he is his own type of charismatic trainer, and we're happy to have him along with us. And I think one of the really cool things is you also get to see, both in NLPI in our institute and through the practitioners and whatnot, everybody has a different style. And, you use all the tenets and all the basics of what you're taught with NLP, and then you make it your own. You want to be authentic, because that's how you create rapport with someone. Otherwise, you're dead in the water, right? So, so it's neat. It's neat to be able to have and see how people work differently and yet the same. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.